Yeah, I'll shoulder around.
I'm going to the page, unless you're going to link it to me.
I'm getting ready to link it to you. We should be live now. What the fuck was that?
That was my phone dinging with a notification.
Oh. Okay then.
Guns Gore Cannoli.
Right. Unless you're going to link it to me.
Hello. I'm getting ready to link it to you.
You sit up here with me? As long as you're nice about the keyboard.
I'm about to throw the links out, guys.
Alrighty. Alright. FUBAR. You know, when I was a kid, my dad kept trying to tell me FUBAR was a candy bar.
Oh, yeah, that's something he would fucking totally do.
You know, I bet that would be a great name for a candy bar, though.
If you could get away with it, yeah.
I have such an obnoxious voice.
You think too much about it, man.
What can I say?
I mean, you two do kind of sound like a couple of New York wise guys, but it's not a bad thing.
That's weird because I've never lived in New York.
He does this shit on purpose.
Well, it's because I had to cover up my accent. I didn't live in the States a good chunk of the time.
Yeah,
my father was very unaccepting. So, you gotta do what you gotta do. Also, I just got tired of getting punched in the face.
Alright, I have passed that thing around for the people that are going to see it. I'm going to move that.
What's up, buddy? Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to go, before we get started, I need to go in the chat.
Alright. So while we're here and people are filtering possibly in, what's tonight's topic there, El Maestro?
Are you fucking serious?
Oh, God.
Tommy the Sledgehammer wants to know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, sorry, I had to check something for Revan. He wanted to know if I had made him a moderator, and I actually had, because he wanted to know if he had a wrench or not. Okay. Let's minimize that shit and close this. Alright, well, you know what, AW? You kind of brought this up, so why don't you fucking roll it out?
Well, the reason I suggested doing a stream right now is particularly somebody who follows the news closely, or even somebody who doesn't follow the news particularly closely. I was disturbed a little bit by the ongoing this. I wouldn't even call this a fuck show because it's well beyond fuck show. In fact, I'd call this a donkey show of what's happening in Afghanistan right now. So
it's almost like Saigon again.
Yeah, except it's worse.
Yeah,
it is considerably fucking worse.
Yeah, so I figured so I asked Farb to do a stream about it so we could commiserate as veterans and tell war stories.
Fashion. We ain't never been through no shit like this, thank God.
Yeah, this is next level shit. I feel really bad for the guys on the ground there right now because they're in a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Anybody who's had family members injured or killed or missing in that place over the last 2 decades is now got it blatantly shoved in their face by a generic piece of crap old man that was all for nothing.
I mean, I watched Biden's speech. He came out and addressed the nation 2 hours ago. It was
fucking. Did he really?
I think yeah, he did. And it was, I think, the worst address I've ever heard from a president ever.
A fucking course
in my lifetime. It was 10 minutes. He was slurring most of it.
What the fuck could he possibly fucking say that would make any difference anyway?
He did nothing but blame. He blamed the Afghans. He blamed Trump. He blamed...
Oh, you know what? Here you go, motherfucker.
Yeah.
If you had followed Trump's original fucking exit plan everybody was already in agreement over it, and you'd have been able to leave with a lot less fucking trouble.
Yeah, it's like, and not only mention, he actually he literally said, "Oh well, we how this reasoning go? We couldn't make plans to pull out earlier because it would show that we'd lost faith in the Afghans."
Fuck you.
Really, guy.
Fucking really.
Made an agreement. You screwed over the legitimacy of those groups. And, like, I was combing through some of this stuff myself today. And, like, one thing I saw is, do you know what happened to one, in a fairly recent event, one of the Spec Ops teams for the Afghans?
And this is, like, the Afghans' own team.
Their own Spec Ops.
Yeah.
They left. Now, they did some stupid things to get themselves into this situation, but they left them in a 12-hour long, prolonged firefight with no support, no air, no nothing. They left them out there until the point where they had nothing to fight with, surrendered, and were executed. So all the people who are criticizing the Afghan troops at this point, they need to answer me a very basic question. If your command is going to let your big babies go and get iced in the street like nothing, and you're a nobody grunt, what's going to make you want to fight?
Yeah, well, and also what really pisses me off about this whole we're going to blame the Afghans thing is this is straight out of the Obama playbook. Because I remember after ISIS took Ramadi,
what the hell?
Back in, what was that, 2015? The Iraqis went and got it back later, but after ISIS took Ramadi, freaking Ash Carter came out, and he was freaking almost crying, saying, "Oh, the Iraqis weren't driven out of Ramadi; they drove out of Ramadi." He called them cowards.
Yeah,
fucking
it's like, look, man, the Iraqi army are a lot of things, but they're not cowardly. Like,
you need. This is something that I think is going to be impossible for Americans, especially in this day and age, to really hold on to. But if you really want to do nation building, you need to be signed on for 50 years at least. Because you got to change the culture, you got to change the education, and you got to build up a will to keep what they have.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, I mean, it's not even that you need to be signed on for that long. It's that you need to be realistic about what you're doing, and second of all, you need to freaking actually do it, right? Because actually, here's the thing. This is what kills me. I was talking privately about this earlier. Okay, everybody. Every time people talk about, like, oh, this is why we need to be in Afghanistan, every discussion about this over the last 20 years has involved, we need to support the rights of Afghan women.
We ain't needed to be in Afghanistan since the fucking Russians bailed on that shit.
Yeah, but let me go here. So, every single discourse on this in America, everyone has always invoked the rights of Afghan women as some kind of talisman, right?
Oh, fuck.
But here's the freaking thing. What do the troops on the ground get told to do? But what happened most of the time when a Afghan girl showed up at an American outpost or an American base in Afghanistan and said, "Hey, my family's going to murder me because I'm trying to marry outside of my tribe." What happened most of the time?
Back over.
Yeah, she got turned right back over to her family, and they took her out back and shot her.
Which is total fucking bullshit. If you're gonna pull this shit, then, maybe fucking adhere to it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
Let's put it in this simple regard. It's people using a disingenuous argument to support something that they had no intention to actually go through with.
Like, people kept on saying, "Oh, we're fighting spread our values as Westerners and so on." But you know who never got told to do that ever at any point? Troops on the ground.
Yeah.
What was General Order Number 1 in Afghanistan? Don't proselytize.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God forbid you try to tell somebody over there that they should be Christian. Oh my God, that was like the death penalty.
Fucking ridiculous too. This time. Don't tell motherfuckers it's raining and piss on a fucking head.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a political foosball.
Hey, Katala. Hey, Phil. Nice to see both of you.
Hello.
Now, I mean, am I saying we should be going out and preaching the Bible to every every culture we come across in the
No.
military? No. But on the other hand, if you're going to justify the war to the people at home as we're supporting these liberal values, and then you tell the troops on the ground, don't you goddamn dare, like, act like you would in America and, support people who are in need.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Bounty Hunter Network and the Smoking Patriot.
Hey, nice to see the both of you. Shit.
I just saw their thing. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's alright, man.
Continue.
You're here to keep an eye on this stuff. Don't worry. Gee, ow!
This is just one of those things.
Like, you know how the one of the big things that got the Taliban into power originally, like one of their big original sources of support back in the 90s, was there's a little bit of a problem in Afghanistan with child molesters.
Yeah.
Freaking people who, powerful men who use their positions and their influence and their guns to rape children. Pardon my.
You know what?
Let's just be honest. This is. I doubt the stream's gonna monetize.
I say it is what it is. I ain't never been monetized. Probably ain't ever gonna be. So fuck it.
Yeah, I think the algorithm can do with a little frank discussion here.
They're child abusers.
Yes,
and there's
they
a
are.
whole
And
network
this
of
was
them.
one of the things that got the Taliban into power originally, was they cracked down on that shit.
Yeah.
Now they did a lot of other very bad things, but they were.
Yeah.
But when you're a parent and your kids are being abused by the local warlord, then there's some pretty. The people who are saying they're going to deal with him are pretty awful. Otherwise, they still are pretty good. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, there have been people in the U.S. Army, SF guys, who lost their careers, got kicked out of the Army, right? Because the local Afghan warlord abusing children, and they freaking got told by their superiors, don't you dare do anything about this. This is an Afghan problem, right?
Thank you,
Afghan
Reverend.
problem. They gotta solve this, and of course they don't solve it. They don't care.
I don't fuck. Well, that's the thing. It's been that way over there for hundreds, fucking thousands of years. The way shit is in Afghanistan. They ain't got any fucking interest in what people from other countries fucking think about.
Well, let's take it a little bit further than that.
It's not even that. It's that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's not even that, because clearly they care about it, right? Nobody wants to see their children getting abused. But there's a lot of fuckery happening there, and we were. And not only were we.
Well, let me clarify that. I don't necessarily mean the children thing, but the way most everything works there, part of the problem is, whether they intend it to or not, it facilitates this kind of creepy bullshit, but they're not really interested in changing how things work overall, and so it kind of breeds this kind of bullshit.
It really does.
And
again,
And you know what? At the end of the day, that's still none of our fucking business.
well, I
I
think
we're supposedly there to going into a place to support all these liberal values, and then why are we telling the troops that we have there, don't you dare actually support these American values to the locals?
Yeah, we're gonna let AW get to that speech when he gets to it.
I think one thing I can definitely say is the big problem we have is we have too much politics in leadership.
Yeah.
Especially when it's in the military, where they're more concerned with the political shakeout within the U.S. than they are in anything else. So we can't the very idea of nation building as a concept is entirely out of America's reach, because we're not serious enough, and we can't keep our officer corps from playing politics.
Oh no, because they're
Let
encouraged.
alone-
They're encouraged to fucking do it after a certain rank.
Let alone the continually back and forth insanity and schizophrenic way of handling the politicians have. So, even if with the whole, like AW pointed out, well, we're going over there to spread freedom by bombing a bunch of things, enriching a bunch of government-connected corporations, effectively, that manufacture weapons, and chewing up a bunch of our boys so they can go home in caskets or disabled. So some general can look good on paper.
Ain't that always the fucking way?
And guess what? You want to know how many units went to Afghanistan over the last 20 years and failed their missions?
Every fucking one of them.
Yeah, and here's the thing. You want to know how many admitted it?
0.
Yes. I'm not aware, to my knowledge, of any...
I've never heard anybody list off a failed mission, regardless of the fact that nobody accomplished jack and fuck all.
In fact, I think the only time that a unit even got, like, consequences for being really messed up was the first time they sent a striker brigade to Afghanistan.
And yes, Katawa, you're entirely right, and we were actually discussing that.
Like that particular unit was screwed up, and the reason they got kicked out of their AO because honestly, I don't even think it was because they were screwed up. I think it was because they took a lot of casualties and they started looking bad.
Yeah, that would figure.
We can't have that.
Can't have
get him out of here.
General what's his fucking nuts looking like he didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate, and this has left us in a ugly situation. I mean, like, one thing I can now say is that we've given the Taliban, what, more Black Hawks than most second world countries?
Because all that shit always gets fucking left over there.
Yeah, they left a lot of stuff there.
So they went from having no air assets to having air assets. And then not to mention all the armaments, the fact that I think it's been confirmed 2 drones and their operating systems were there.
I mean, those are like Scan Eagles, so those aren't like anything special. But...
No, but you gotta think about it. You have a bunch of guys who didn't have any of these capabilities yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, even though they're not necessarily world-shaking threats or anything that would dislodge us if we chose, but it's now another...
It has still made them a bigger threat to their fucking neighbors.
Well, the worst part is that they can sell some of these capabilities off and make other problems for us. It's the idea of giving even a minor foe another advantage to be a bigger pain. Or to cause trouble for other people.
It's not like we're never going to have to deal with these people in the future. In fact, we probably are at this point.
And we're making them more dangerous.
They're really tooled up.
And... like, did you see the one picture of the group of Taliban in that one office?
You know, in Ghani's office? Actually, this is... Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at it, well, one... I noticed the guy who's on the left, and most people who've seen the picture, he's got I think it's a night scope that's like 70 grand on his A2 rifle.
Oh, does he have a freaking thermal sight?
And that's from our stockpile there.
Fucking course
They're all now using our gear.
Yeah, because what the fuck else are they gonna do? It's all just sitting right there.
But the thing I find funny is there's a guy in the back in a suit who's got his face blotted out. And he don't match any of the Taliban there. Yeah. Not to mention there's that one photo from them trying to make Biden look tougher where they literally doxed the CIA operations center there.
Well, that photo's messed up in several different ways, right? So first of all, they doxed the dudes at the CIA headquarters. They doxed the A station in the Middle East. They had like dudes' faces revealed with saying, "Hey, this is that station." And if you look at if you'll notice this later, if you look at the clocks on the wall, this photo was taken in March.
Yeah.
The actual photo was taken in March, and they photoshopped this.
Yeah.
Onto the TV, which means at some point Biden did a photo shoot at Camp David for whatever reason, so they could just produce stock photos of this for showing him responding to a crisis, which is really not inspiring.
Well, think about that. They knew that there were going to be need for stock photos for this. How freaking horrifying is that? I mean, as bad as she is, at this point, you might as well have Kamala Harris out there.
Well, you know, it actually speaking of the administration, what did the administration do in response to this?
Not a fucking thing, really.
Biden had a 10-minute address to the nation today. Very bad speech. Jen Psaki, press secretary, literally went on vacation.
Yeah, she's like unavailable for 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah, she's
Fuck
in
you.
hiding
Get your ass back in
from
your
the
goddamn
public.
office and do your fucking job.
The press secretary is in hiding.
Full
Vice
of
President
shit.
Harris, nobody's seen her.
Nobody said
Nobody's
shit
seen her.
about her. Not a word.
Like, has the Secretary of State come out and address this in person?
No.
He sent his spokesman Flunky out. Has General Milley come out and address this in person?
No.
A major general, I believe, the Pentagon today was answering questions, and my understanding was he was not answering them particularly well.
Do you mean General Milley?
Well, General Milley's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Because I know he did a thing where he was talking as well. And he's not confidence inspiring.
No, of course
He
he
was
ain't.
talking, because he spoke, I want to say last month, and him and Biden both spoke, I want to say last month, and they said, oh, don't worry, the Afghans are going to hold. In fact,
Fuck you.
you want to talk about donkey shows here. Hey. Okay. What was that, 72 hours ago? The State Department was coming out, I think Secretary Blinken himself was saying, the embassy is going to keep on operating. Don't worry, Kabul's calm. This was 72 hours ago.
Fucking.
This was late last week.
Yeah.
And the embassy, the State Department and the embassy in Afghanistan were saying, "Don't worry, everything's calm." They literally were telling embassy staff, like, and American citizens in Kabul, shelter in place, as the Taliban were entering the city.
And that's a crock of fucking shit.
Oh,
That smells
yeah.
like a fucking really shitty distraction tactic, honestly.
But because of that, there are American citizens in Kabul right now stuck behind enemy lines.
And God only knows what's gonna happen to them with the fucking Taliban all over every fucking thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had a hostage crisis by the end of the week.
If they even fucking bother.
Well, we already have 2 soldiers, I believe, in captivity there at this moment.
Be
Plus,
fucking surprised to me.
I even read the Taliban's statements, which is funny that they're still on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Taliban spokesperson is a blue check on Twitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
go fucking figure, right?
I wonder how he got verified. Like,
That
I literally
fucking
wonder how the
shit
process
show-
went to verify him.
Ever since that terrorist shit started showing up on Twitter, that bitch should have been shut down fucking like a year ago.
Well, you know that's how ISIS freaking organized.
Yeah, oh, I know damn well it is.
20 goddamn 14. ISIS was using Twitter as a command and control system.
And that shit should have been done since, like, before then.
They're still using it as that. The Taliban were issuing orders.
Well, who's surprised?
But one thing is they actually had to issue a statement as to why they were entering Kabul, where they're like, we have to go in because the rioting and looting is so bad. At this point, even we are gonna go in and take control. They're like, we didn't want to because we didn't want to piss the Americans off and have them turn around. That'd be bad for us. I mean, this is the funniest thing is that it's not like the Taliban's pushing us. They're waiting. They don't need to fight us. They don't want us to come back. They know they'll lose that conflict.
Well, I mean, God, we're doing enough damage to our public image already with this. I'm not sure how much more they could help.
Well, look at all the gifts we're leaving them. I'm like, they're just like, well, we're going to be very respectful to the American forces. I would too if, they were leaving me rooms full of rifles and drones.
I mean, hell, at this point, the Taliban is probably one of if not the highest recipients of U.S. military aid in the entire world. I'd like to see a dollar value on that because it's probably considerably more than we give to like people in NATO.
What we use to take care of veterans.
Yeah.
And this is the insanity. So,
VA is underfunded.
yeah, underfunded, poorly managed, and barely works. Not to mention the ungodly situation with VA hospitals, just that the average veteran has to travel so damn far to get to one of the damn things is freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, God, the VA didn't start getting like even remotely better until a couple of years ago. I want to say
something around
like Trump administration actually after the Obama fuck show of the VA, because that was very badly mismanaged.
Of course. Like,
And I'm sure, you know, Biden probably has not kept the progress going at all.
I ain't gonna expect that he has. I don't think he gives a fuck.
And Revan points out there's 30 Irish citizens, and 25 want to be rescued who can't do anything.
Yeah.
The U.S. is actively getting in the way of rescue operations.
Yeah, well, not. I mean, God, like I said, there's literally hundreds of American citizens who got deceived. I'll put it that way. They got deceived by the people who were supposed to be issuing them guidance, the State Department, into sheltering in place when the enemy was entering Kabul unopposed.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh my God. And actually, you want to talk about comparisons to Saigon and why I mentioned earlier this year. Okay, and so you know Operation Frequent Wind, Saigon, the helicopter evacuation.
Yes.
You know the well publicized images of, you know, people helicopters taking off from the roof and everything. Okay, that was.
And the secondary images of them shoving helicopters off the carriers to accommodate more people.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. That was the Frequent Wind was a well-planned operation. Like, they knew what was going to happen. They had a list of people who needed to get out. They got the large majority of them out. It was the end of it was the final part of a multi-stage evacuation effort. There was it was a 4-phase plan. Frequent Wind, the helicopters were the fourth part. That was like the final thing they would do before the North Vietnamese overran Saigon. They had an aerial evacuation by fixed wing out of Tan Son Nhut, both civilian and military aircraft were part of that. They've been deliberately drawing down the American presence and telling American civilians to get out of South Vietnam for months ahead of time. Frequent Wind picked up the sort of almost the people who were too dumb to leave it. They've been putting out very clearly, hey, this is, you need to get out.
Dickhead, get out of here.
And the U.S. Embassy in Saigon was sure as hell not saying, oh, we're going to keep on operating on, you know, the day beforehand. Like, and you know what, when the freaking North Vietnamese hit Saigon, we didn't have any people left there. Operation was over. Everyone who needed to get out was out. We weren't having a standoff with the North Vietnamese at Tan Son Nhut, you know, still trying to evacuate people. Operation was over.
It's insane, but this is what this administration does. It's slipshod, and they know they can get away with it because there's no general who's going to end his career by criticizing them, and the media isn't interested in reporting.
I mean, you want to talk about the caliber of people involved here? So, Ambassador Martin to South Vietnam, who was like absolutely a believer in the South Vietnamese state. He was in it to win it. He was on the second to last helicopter to leave the embassy. In fact, it should have been the last helicopter. They thought it was the last helicopter, but there was like a squad that was basically left on the rooftop securing him. They had to send some people back to get them. And you know what? There are hundreds of American citizens still in Afghanistan trying to get out. There's thousands of troops securing that airport. Other countries have consular operations ongoing. They're helping their citizens. You know where the American ambassador to Afghanistan is?
What the fuck?
He fled the country already.
That was hidden in there?
He's been gone for days.
Oh, that fucking figures.
Yeah, the guy's out.
I don't think, Potato Revan, that having Harris take over after Biden screwed up on this level would help anyone look strong.
Here's the thing. They could try it, but she doesn't have any more idea how to solve this shit than he does.
Well, if you're going to pick someone less popular than him, then you'd definitely be selecting that person. This is such insanity at this point. It's a shame on our soldiers. It's a shame on us. And this is not gonna go away. It's gonna sit there like a monkey that we don't talk about.
The images that came out of freaking Compton today, this morning, they're
You gonna talk about those planes?
You want me to, or you want me to not mention it? Because this is worse than anything ever.
You should talk about.
This is worse than anything out of.
You need to talk about those fucking planes.
I saw the video for those.
Okay, so, like, there were. Yeah, so. Like, honestly, the worst images that ever came out of Vietnam, it wasn't helicopters coming off the road, the CIA annex there in Saigon. It was Operation Lam Son 719. There was video footage where the South Vietnamese in 1971 tried to invade Laos because they were trying to go after the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And they got their asses handed to them. They got their asses handed to them so bad that when we were giving them air support for this, there were South Vietnamese soldiers who were fleeing, who were grabbing onto the skids of Hueys, you know, trying to just in an absolute panic, trying to get away. Like, and well, guess what? Guess what's happening in Afghanistan this morning?
Well, I would say
C-130 freaking evacuate. Trigger warning.
For the faint at heart, I wouldn't suggest looking at these. They are both sad, disheartening.
It's a miserable fucking situation.
This is extremely disturbing stuff.
And upsetting if you've never seen active death of a human being.
Yeah.
When you have people who are so desperate to get away that they are willing to risk themselves by tying themselves to the landing gear of a C-130
in motion,
you have fucked up.
You had C-17s taken off from top.
I fucked that up.
And there were people who they had to get out by driving through a crowd of Afghans who were like crowding around them, trying to hold on to the outside of the thing. Things taken off, they're still holding on. You see the plane pulling away, and there's bodies coming off.
People falling off the fucking landing gear. They said that some of these people actually tied themselves to the landing gear.
Yeah. Just the worst stuff you can imagine.
This will be things that haunt us.
Ugh.
Yeah, that clip is... Yeah.
This will be things shown when my grandchildren are on their deathbed. This will never go away, and hopefully it goes properly on the heads of not only the Biden administration, but every commanding officer involved in this shit show.
I hope that it would, but nowadays I can't be so fucking sure.
And I have a feeling it's going to all be in retrospect. Just like everything else.
You know how these people do accountability. I don't think anybody's getting fired for this.
No, it's highly unlikely. They're going to do like they're doing now. They're going to blame it on the Afghan government. They're going to blame it on this. They're going to blame it on that. Nobody's going to take fucking responsibility.
I mean, God, when the freaking Romans had a... When this kind of thing had happened in Rome, somebody would have fallen on their sword.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's be perfectly honest. If this would have happened under Roman rule, they would have taken those generals, tied them in bags with wild animals, beat that bag, and then thrown it in the river, then turned around to their militaries and go, decimation.
Ouch.
Like, there would have been hell to pay.
Yeah, it's
Bitch. Motherfucker.
This is
I don't know, Revan, if that will even fucking work. Because that place has been so fucking overrun by now, I don't think they're gonna bother. I think they're gonna call everybody there a fucking loss and run the fuck away and never come back.
I have a theory, but I wouldn't say it's anything but a personal opinion on that. Considering this administration, Revan, I have a feeling they would rather refocus the military on domestic matters. considering the topics that they've chose to talk about and how they've spoken about people who disagree or on the other side of the fence in some regards. They're very much moving towards a coin-style operation, possibly. In the
Not
US.
that it's gonna fucking help him, man. All it's gonna do is cause even more dumb shit.
Well, it wouldn't make things better.
I mean, I'm not at this point. Just because of my own personal situation, I'm not gonna talk about that in particular.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to go off on a wild conspiracy.
No, it's no. I mean, I'm not suggesting it's a wild conspiracy. I'm just saying I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah, it's not a time or place for it. So let's move to a slightly different topic involved, though, and talk about how Biden has slurred his way through 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, I watched that speech he made earlier, and it was bad. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It wasn't a good speech. And it was, and again, where's Biden been during this entire crisis? He's been at Camp David. Yep. He comes back from Camp David. He gives a 10-minute address. And look, he could be Abraham Lincoln giving the damn Gettysburg Address, and that would not be an acceptable response.
No.
He's no Abraham Lincoln. That was no Gettysburg Address. That was a bad speech.
That's every speech he's ever done. A tired old man with no idea what the fuck he's doing.
Well, I'll definitely say this. His speech-making capacity has definitely declined in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
If I'm generous.
By the time it was finished, I was actually worried for him. I was worried he was going to fall over.
Yeah.
Like, he did not look well making that speech.
Increasingly, it feels like they juice him up and then shove him out the door. And that can only go on so long.
Yeah, well, eventually his system's gonna fucking break down.
Well, it's only going to speed things up in a lot of regards. And if, for example, he has dementia, it won't only accelerate, and drugs won't only make it go faster if you continually, soup people up. It's not a good thing. So, what were the main... I know he pushed blame off, but did he say anything other than trying to blame other people?
Oh, God, I need to...
Just from what you can recall.
Okay, so he...
Get off me.
Actually, so, first of all, he blamed everybody but his own...
Oh, that's
ministry.
fucking normal. That entire party's like that.
The speech was not about... The speech didn't address what the problem that people have, right? It was basically non-responsive.
Fucking
because the main thrust of his speech was, well, we had to get out of Afghanistan, right? The implication was this is the inevitable consequence of our getting out. What he did not address, and what he really avoided, in fact, when he wasn't avoiding, he was lying about it, was people don't have a problem getting out of Afghanistan. Everybody agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a consensus in this country we shouldn't be in Afghanistan anymore. The problem people have is that this was horribly mismanaged.
Yeah.
This was an obvious donkey show of a withdrawal. And so, and he did not address whatsoever any criticism that there was any suggestion that that this was, the only thing he said about the execution was, well, we're monitoring the situation, we have had plans in place to deal with this.
No, the fuck you haven't, because if you had, you'd have done it already, you fucking dickhead.
Yeah. It's not confidence inspiring when you see something that obviously was not good. Obviously was executed on, as near as I can tell, on extraordinarily short notice. And you have senior leaders, the seniorest leader up there saying, oh, we had plans in place, we knew all along this was going to happen, then why the hell are there hundreds of Americans stuck behind enemy lines in Kabul right now?
Because there was no fucking plan, and nobody who's not a fucking idiot's going to believe a word of that bullshit.
Yeah, you're just losing credibility at this point. And so, I was not happy when that finished.
All right.
It was, again, it wasn't just a bad speech and it was badly delivered. It was a bad speech and that it was difficult to believe.
It's fucking just, I don't know, man. Like, I ain't even got words for this shit.
It's what you expect from a weak administration, honestly. Or a weak leader. That they basically go, it's everyone else's fault. I was perfect. I did all the right things.
Shit!
It was his and his and his and her fault. Bye.
Right.
And then
Well,
they
and
just went out.
also that don't believe your lying eyes. This has been an excellent app. We're doing a great job out there. It's like, buddy, there's some Afghans trying to hang on to C-17s who would beg to disagree.
There's plenty out there that basically make a lie even worse. Honestly, they should have pulled a.
In fact, it's not the lie; it's the cover-up.
Yeah.
They really should have tried to pull Truman. It would have been just as disingenuous and unbelievable, but it probably would have scored them at least a little bit more points with the American people.
Maybe.
When you see the numbers of just how many people blame him for the economy, think he's doing a terrible job, their opinions are increasingly worse on him as in general, and yeah, going out there and going, the buck stops here, it's my fault, blah blah, even if nothing came of it, would have.
And at the end of that speech, he actually tried to say that. He just tried to say, the buck stops here with me. Well, guess what? That would be a lot more believable if you hadn't spent the last 10 minutes blaming everyone but yourself.
Fucking right.
And the problem is,
Like, at that point, it's just insulting.
and the big
Because it's
issue with
obvious you
that-
don't fucking mean it.
Well, the innate big issue you have with the buck stops here is that, yeah, okay, it stops there. Are you resigning?
Yeah.
No.
What are you doing about it?
It means nothing. And that's the problem, is there's no credibility left in this administration.
Was there ever?
Not with the politically active, but with a lot of know-nothings. They don't know anything about politics, let alone keep up. Ask the average person, they hadn't, like, for example, like, one dude that I know of didn't vote for 20 years, and he voted for Biden because he had nothing else going on because of all the lockdowns. And all he heard and saw was Biden, 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 Biden. So he voted for him, and now they're finding out how bad it is.
Yeah.
When you vote for a motherfucker because he's quote-unquote popular, what the fuck do you expect? I mean, half your information, that shit came from, like, news sources that have been proven publicly to be lying motherfuckers, and Twitter, which has always been full of shit.
To quote Zach, 12 psychopaths on Twitter, you know?
That.
You know,
The 12 psychopaths, and by the way, 10 of them are robots.
yeah. I mean, you have a situation where there are a lot of people who just aren't active. They don't know as much as we do. So they voted for this guy because all they heard was Orange Man bad, and they're learning the brutal political lesson of being uninformed. They're getting their shit kicked in. And this is one of the reasons you're starting to see so much bad opinion towards not only Joe Biden, but the Democrats, and by extension, the Republican Party for doing nothing.
Enabling them for... The institutional Republicans are... I mean, so much of the institutional Republican Party, they're controlled opposition. They don't have any actual differences in policy from the Democrats. They don't care.
The funniest thing I saw was when someone referred to Lindsey Graham accurately, and they called him a far leftist. I got nothing but a chuckle out of it, because I've been yelling that for years.
But it's
And
like
then-
somebody I know very well. I was having a political argument with somebody I know quite well. And he told me that, well, Facebook is it's a right-leaning organization.
Are you out of your fucking mind?
Well, because what he brought up was they have a Bush administration staffer on their board of directors. Like, what you mean?
Big fucking deal.
Neocon? You mean you realize all the neocons are far left Democrats right now, right?
Jesus fuck.
Every single one of them is a leftist.
Oh my god. The concept that Bush was far right is funny.
Yeah.
I'm like,
One is astonishing. You know he was just fine with the assault weapon ban, right?
well, when you literally look at Bush, he's just a Democrat. He's been part of the institution of the political parties for decades. I mean, it's not talked about a lot, but his grandfather, Papa Bush, before what was it?
It was Vannevar Bush.
Was involved in an attempted coup in the U.S. that got mostly swept under the rug until recently.
Yeah, the like various 1930s, 1940s sketchiness.
Yeah, and you're sitting there going, these are people who've been involved in this. Anyone who thinks that the Bushes are some crazy right-wingers is out of their mind.
No, they're like ultra-establishment groups. They've always been just members of the most entrenched establishment.
So we look at a situation where it's like, okay, well, you know, a good chunk of the main line of the Republicans are a bunch of establishment hacks who open the door for Democrats.
Ouch, Phil.
The Democrats are basically old crypt keeper like creatures with
I'm sorry,
psychos on the
Katala.
side.
If you gotta go, then take off.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out as long as you could. I understand the thunder issue.
Yeah.
I believe fish and people can live in peace equal
Ow!
to G.W. Bush.
Motherfucker.
I don't think if Bush could have got away with it, he wouldn't have declared war on fish. Just as much as I have respect for John McCain.
That dude.
I won't even go into why.
Let's
I
don't even go there, because I don't.
Let's not open that can of worms with something that's struck out.
Let's just put it at this is a man, John McCain, who literally at one point or another in his life advocated war for about half the countries on the face of the earth.
That dude never found never found a geopolitical crisis that an invasion wouldn't solve.
Fair enough, Katala. If you gotta take off, just take off.
The literal only one he wasn't interested in was the Vietnam conflict. How interesting. So we find ourselves in the situation of looking at all of this with a very muddled and messed up withdrawal from Afghan, a befuddled president who can barely manage a 10-minute speech that blames everyone but himself, and
fucking course.
an increasing climate of people just not being happy.
Yeah, this is like we're getting in the dangerous times, folks. I hate to say it. I know there were a lot of people who thought like, oh, Biden's gonna bring back normality. No, he did not.
Who the fuck thought that?
A lot of people.
I out of the goddamn minds. The guy can barely string 2 sentences together without a teleprompter.
Well, one of the big problems is
media cover for their own blood between obvious.
most of these people didn't look into his career.
All right,
they
later,
been
Katala.
horrified by the man. I'm like, he has literally one policy he put in place that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, the crime bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
His one political win.
By the way, considering some of the stories which have been going around now about a certain relative of his, some of the sentencing disparities in the 1994 crime bill make more sense than they used to.
Oh yeah, they make a hell of a lot more.
I'm not sure how old that guy was at the time, but still.
Oh
my god. This guy's one big legislative win in his career was a piece of legislation which is universally regarded as just a complete horror.
A failure that has done more damage to the country than most small wars have already, unfortunately.
Yeah, something which contributed to the mass incarceration and to the near, like, to the verge of like depopulation through incarceration of certain
Groups of people.
neighborhoods. Yeah.
Yeah, this is. It's like how people.
By the way, this is the same guy that these people who are marching in circles screaming about how Black Lives Matter and everything.
No.
The literal author of the crime bill.
This racist motherfucker.
Don't watch the Clarence Thomas interviews with with this guy.
Talking about Mayor Nolan in the 1980s. That's a thing. Whew, boy. Whew.
I see
That's
that.
some spicy language he's using.
Oh yeah, he was a thoroughly unpleasant, unlikable piece of shit even back then. I would have taken Al Sharpton over him.
Oh
boy.
Fucking wow.
Nice.
Al Sharpton has more legitimacy and honesty in his soul than this man does. That's the sad part about it. I'm like, and that's considering some of the crap Al Sharpton's been involved in.
Yeah, like what has that dude been involved in?
Well, he was involved in a couple fakings of hate crime. So
Yeah, I love how America is such a tolerant country that most ostensible hate crimes are actually hoaxes.
LeBron James.
The minorities in this country have to oppress themselves. It's so nice here.
Fucking Christ.
We have to change it. It's too nice. How can I have my oppression bucks?
It's like you realize that's the point, right? Is you stop being oppressed and then it's cool.
How am I supposed to hold my critical fucking race theory class when there's no fucking none of this shit?
Yeah, it's like everybody. It's like, okay, guys, we're gonna talk about racial oppression in the United States. So everybody, turn to the person on your right and give them a big high five because it doesn't exist anymore.
Fucking right.
You can go and sit critical race
I mean,
theory
it does
professor
exist.
next
It
to
does
the Nazi.
exist in one place in particular. And it's just not the way they fucking want to talk about it. And that's in fucking Hollywood, where if you're a white motherfucker, you're screwed.
Well, let's put it this way. Yeah, the Klan still exists, but when people go and actually harass them, you have the problem in this country where it's like, most people don't care. Things are that nice. We have it where people are like,
Holy
there's a
fucking
group of
shitballs.
people you don't like now barbecuing, and you have people going and abusing them.
Fucking right.
And then turning around and expecting praise for it.
Get the fuck off.
Yeah, it's really disturbing.
I'm like, look, I don't
Fuck off
like
of
the
me,
Klan. I don't like any of those groups. But they're barbecuing. It's so fair.
They're minding their own business. Fuck it. Let them be.
I mean,
You know, like you realize that in this country you can actually be a member of some pretty messed up groups, and like not only one can the government not do anything to you because it's a private association, but two, you can't just randomly go out and beat people up because you don't like them.
Nope.
yeah. Well, that's kind of our problem. We have people who are desperate to be against something, I guess. Their lives are that meaningless.
There are people LARPing at being there. I don't know if they think
Yo,
they
Phoenix, what's up?
missed out on some great struggle of the past, or they're LARPing at being revolutionaries, and it's really
Yeah, that's some disturbing fucking bullshit too.
And we could do far more constructive things, like all these people who hate the country or whatever. We could educate them in a type of business or farming techniques or whatever, and then send them to their chosen country to better those regions.
Fucking weird. Oh,
It would be
Jesus,
more
Reverend.
productive.
I was told by my own family I don't get an opinion on Black Panther because I'm a straight white man. I need to hold my privilege and learn my place. You know, I know what member of your family would say that dumb shit, and she can jump up a fucking manhole cover to fucking Mars and die from fucking radiation poisoning.
Yeah,
Revan-
that person needs to hold their privilege to think that she can tell you what to think. How's that?
Fucking
Revan,
yeah.
tell them this. You mean the character made by two white Jewish men?
Fucking right? Yeah. Does she know who created Black fucking Panther? No, I highly fucking doubt it.
Not to mention the Black Panther is named after a black revolutionary group, and I mean,
Yeah.
He was
Kinda.
also, He's also leading a closed.
Yeah, they're nationalists for fuck's sake.
Also, here's the thing. Okay, so you know the Richard Spencer ethno state?
Yeah.
That's literally Wakanda except white.
Yep.
Yep.
Right? Wakanda is the Richard Spencer ethno state. Literally, not exaggerating. It is the freaking weird white nationalist ethno state, like depicted by Disney. Only they can somehow get away with it because they're black.
Yeah, it's okay when they do it. And I'm like, hey, look, you know, Disney, I know you don't check your sources, but, you know, Black Panther is actually a really good character who actually cares about all people.
Yeah, at least he used to be.
And, so what we're going to do is focus on him leading an ethno state. And I'm like, he wasn't leading an ethno state, you idiots.
No.
They literally had all this technology and this mystical metal stuff, and they're like, you know what? If we let people know this is here, it will be nothing but war.
Yeah, they were trying to keep people safe by hiding that shit, because they didn't want people fucking starting wars over it.
But hey, let's dump that so we can make a bunch of colonizer jokes.
Ugh.
So,
Stupid motherfuckers.
But just point out that it's a black character made by white men.
Jewish men, in fact.
In fact, yeah, and he's been a fairly popular character for a long time. Just didn't hit his stride till lately.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's like that whole bullshit when everybody was talking about, oh, the first black superhero. Motherfuckers, Blade existed long before this shit.
Yeah, Blade had a movie. By the way,
Two. What's up?
Revan 3. Well, 2.5. By the way, Revan asked if you can turn the game volume down a little bit. He said it's overwhelming the talk a little bit.
Yeah.
Try. Why the hell didn't somebody say something earlier?
Well, because I only got his DM just now.
Oh, I didn't have any DMs on that.
I can't fuck with a cutscene volume for some reason. I can turn this stuff down. I can't fuck with a cutscene volume.
Yeah, I'm checking. I don't have any warnings on it, so. I also have to mute it on my end, so I don't have double play in my headphones.
Yeah, I have the stream muted on my end too.
But you know, there's a lot of good characters out there from Marvel. But
fuck the both of you.
My main thing is, if you're ever interested in reading Black Panther, read the Priest run. Don't read the Ta-Nehisi Coates one where he just destroys.
Let's put it this way: don't read a single.
A cultural vandal.
I was gonna say, don't read a single fucking thing Ta-Nehisi Coates ever put his name on, ever.
The guy's a race hustler, and that's all he does is race hustle. You know what?
It's just like Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone bullshit. All it was some racist bullshit.
Yeah, no person should be interested in hearing Ta-Nehisi Coates' opinion on anything, because the guy's a freaking racist, and his opinion always amounts to white people are bad.
Mm-hmm. No matter who's actually responsible for something.
Plus, I think he has a weird thing with lesbians.
Christ, oh fuck him.
That I've kind of picked up is that he tends to have these weird little like lesbian relationships in his works.
That just seems to be a comics thing now.
Well, I think it's an actual fetish for him.
It's like how nobody's allowed to be straight in comics.
No, not anymore.
You know, I think
you dirty son
Zach
of a bitch.
had a video on it, but I agree with him.
Get out of here.
At the level of population, it must be fantastic to be in Manhattan. You know, you could bike to work. You probably can get apartments cheap, considering that the world population couldn't be more than 600 and some odd thousand people.
Well, yeah, Phoenix, I do agree with that, although we were talking comics movies strictly, and Blade came out long before fucking Black Panther did.
Yeah. No, I mean, they had 3 Blade movies out before the MCU started.
Yeah. Though I will say, don't check out a lot of the stuff that's being done with Blade today.
No, God, please don't.
I won't even think about that.
They turned him into Mr. Good Bro Delivery Man.
The fuck?
He fucking sucks now, dude. He's the problem with every mainstream comics written black character. He's super, super nice all the time to everybody. He's like the generic best friend character. And he's not even really a fucking badass anymore. You know why? Because they got fucking Kibblesmith writing him.
Oh, they got that loser. Okay, so he's best friends with Snowflake and Safe Space.
Fucking give it time, right?
Well, this is
Did
even
he mentor them and teach them their powers?
This was even before Kibblesmith was even involved in anything.
No, they was already planning this bullshit.
The way they were treating him was basically like he was a milk delivery man. He'd show up, say something nice-ish, and then leave an item with people.
Fuck out of here. Yeah, he doesn't do nothing anymore.
Well, yeah, it's because he's black, and they can't have a black character with flaws.
Fucking Christ.
It's not being a giant vampire killing badass is ever a flaw, but like I guess he's a little bit antisocial, and they can't have him doing that. He has to be an upstanding pillar. You know what? This is like some Hays Code shit.
It feels to me. It feels to me also it's like a big thing because he was friends with an old white guy.
Yeah, but these people will like talk about like comic censorship in the 50s like it was a war crime.
Christ.
While they're doing the exact same stuff
all the
today,
fucking time, and it's just dumber because they just make them look shitty. They don't just not put them in the comics; they make them look like assholes and losers.
Brevin, I don't even want to talk about the Harley Quinn Power Girl thing.
No, we're not talking about none of that Harley Quinn shit.
We're not.
They have fucking destroyed that fucking character in every conceivable way.
The only thing they could do with that character to show that character any respect is if that character died and stayed dead.
Dick.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is nothing redeemable about the character at this point.
I mean, she's always been a marginal character anyways, and she was created by the animation.
Well, there was a very specific place for her after the animated series, and they refused to keep her there.
If I remember right, her first appearance was in a animated series game.
Mm-hmm. And
she was so popular from it, they transferred her into the show itself.
Yeah.
And she'd been kind of a C-lister, which is not a bad spot.
No, it's not.
For most of the part, because she's kind of an accessory character to the Joker.
And you know what? There were storylines, not just in the show, but in the comics, where she went out and did shit on her own, and they were decent storylines. But there's a point where you have to know there are things she can and can't fucking do. But that's the problem. There's no self-control.
She's not a replacement for the damn Joker.
No. And she's not meant to be.
Yes.
Well, and she helped play off the Joker very well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they let people with ideologies come in and go, no. We need to change her to be gay.
Well, like, she has to be this icon of feminist empowerment.
Fuck.
What about being brainwashed by an evil psychopath is empowering and feminist? I'm genuinely
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that bothers me too.
God.
That brainwashing shit came later. Because originally, she was this kind of too smart for her own good psychiatrist who tried to get in the Joker's head and just found out she was as nutty as he fucking was and just ran with it.
Yeah, it's like, what about this is somehow empowering? I'm genuinely
That's
curious.
actually one of the things that bothered me about the feminist representation of her is they actually made her dumb.
She's somehow so stupid that she was a shrink, a psychiatrist who thought she could fix the Joker.
Yeah.
Like, she's dumb to start with.
I think
how it went... Oh, go ahead. You go first.
I think the problem is that they identified with Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And in that... they would tend to have these abusive relationships with these,
Jesus.
Well, I'll just call weak men. And they wanted to change this character to be empowering to themselves with having no concept of what being empowered is.
Yeah.
I mean, considering we have tons and tons of works out there that actually have strong female characters.
Get the fuck off me.
It's insane to me. I mean, they could have checked out any of the runs of Wonder Woman up till the last 15 years and found something pretty decent.
Get the fuck off me, motherfucker.
Or, even Huntress or Batgirl. Stay away from Batwoman. She was a IP holding maneuver.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Always been weirdness.
Hey!
Well,
You
when
dick.
she first appeared, she appeared to stave off the
Motherfucker.
concept that Batman and Robin were gay for each other.
Yeah.
So, 1950s, basically they're like, hey, look, this doesn't look right.
Motherfucker, look.
That there's this grown man.
A little bit. These two look a little bit flaming.
Yeah.
So they introduced her as this kind of potential love interest for Batman. And then she kind of faded out of the way in the 60s, or early 70s if you really
You
want.
fucking chuck a grenade at me, you cocksucker.
And then an egg-headed moron.
Ow, time to go grab this.
They decided to put her back as a gay icon.
So that one, he could make a big splash in sales because this is all this guy ever concerned himself with. And two, they were about to lose the copyright on Batwoman.
Hold the fuck still, you cocksucking
So
dog
she
fuck.
represents nothing of the original character in any way.
Yeah.
Which is sad. It was another, especially if you read any of the older runs of Batman.
Hey,
Don't
fuck
run
you.
Don't read the really early stuff. If you're gonna read any of that, read The Shadow instead. He's
Ow,
basically at the early years a complete rip-off of The Shadow.
Dick.
He moves away from that later.
Motherfucker, come back here.
Yeah,
Give me that.
when it comes to a lot of these people, it's a lot of broken people who want to project their issues, and they only see certain established characters as legitimate. It's why we continuously have the argument, well, why don't we make a new character? Well, because that character wouldn't be legitimate.
Well, it's also because they know that their bullshit won't sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They know for a fact they cannot sell comics with their own characters. And you wanna know why we know this? Because they've tried doing it and it's failed. There's
Hey,
plenty
Josh,
of,
I got a dumb question as an aside.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened with your dinner?
It's ready.
Okay. Jen, go get your food.
I'll take off for the moment, and I'll be right back.
Alright.
I mean,
Please
we can go
continue.
for an hour if you guys want to.
If you want to cut it short, I'm fine with that. I think we've ranted.
I mean, we got off the topic of Afghanistan, where now we're talking about the death of the American comics industry. Which
Yeah, and you know
honestly,
what? The
as far as
sad
a
part,
wee topic,
the sad part of it is there's only so much you can fucking say. What do you say? It's a fucking repeat of Saigon with worse fucking casualty numbers? Because that's what it fucking is.
I think what we can
it's
say
Saigon with camera phones.
is we went from a fairly heavy topic to something less heavy, and appropriately the same cultural rhyme.
Yeah, ain't that the fucking truth?
But unless I'm here, thank you for watching, guys, and subscribe, suggest us, throw this video up in places that will piss people off,
Yeah.
and put it everywhere. Buy the Maiden's War because we need to rebuild some of our culture, and support actual creatives. And this is Mr. Nobody signing out.
See you guys later. Have a great fucking night.
Let everyone good night.